Did you know some of the nutrition facts you've trusted your entire life are completely false? I used to believe a lot of common nutrition myths myself until research and experience proved me wrong. So in this video, I'm gonna show you 9 shocking nutrition myths you should stop believing right now, and it might change the way you eat forever. So we often assume fresh produce is always the healthiest choice, but surprisingly, that's not always true. Think about it. Fresh produce is often picked before it's fully ripe, so it can survive long journeys and days sitting on the grocery store shelves. By the time you buy it, it may have lost some of its nutritional punch. But there's a way around this so you can get maximum nutrition from your fruits and vegetables, buying them frozen. Frozen produce is picked at the absolute peak of ripeness and then frozen immediately, locking in essential vitamins, minerals, and flavor. So next time you're shopping, don't hesitate to grab frozen fruits and veggies. Not only are they packed with nutrients, but they're typically cheaper and last much longer. You'll save money, reduce food waste, and still enjoy delicious, nutritious meals. Have you ever stood in the supermarket aisle, reached for brown sugar instead of white sugar, and thought, I'm being healthy today? Or maybe you've swapped sugar for honey or maple syrup, believing those natural sweeteners must be better for you. I know I have. After all, these products are marketed as wholesome, natural alternatives, so they've got to be better for you, right? Unfortunately, here's the reality check. Whether it's brown sugar, honey, maple syrup, or agave, these sweeteners are still essentially just sugar. Yeah, some might offer some minor additional nutrients, but when it comes to your body's reaction, sugar is still sugar. I know. I was devastated too when I found out I couldn't keep pounding maple syrup as pre-workout. But don't worry, this doesn't mean you have to give up sweetness entirely. There are simple strategies to enjoy sweet foods without decimating your health. First, moderation is key. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. If around 80% of your calories come from nutritious, whole food sources like legumes, whole grains, nuts, and seeds, then enjoying a little sweetness here and there won't derail your health. Second, pair your sugary treats with berries. Studies show berries can actually blunt the insulin spikes from high glycemic foods. And third, consider naturally sweet whole foods like bananas and dates because they're still in their whole form with fiber and nutrients intact. Your body processes them differently and more healthily than refined sugars. Bottom line is, you don't have to completely eliminate sweetness from your life. You can still go on dates. I'm just kidding. Just be mindful to pair your treats with berries when possible. Try substituting whole food sweeteners like bananas or dates, and your taste buds and your whole body will thank you. Have you ever heard someone say, sugar is sugar, even the sugar in fruit, so too much fruit should be avoided? I know I have. And honestly, it left me pretty confused. Fruits are supposed to be healthy, right? But now they're somehow bad because of the sugar, like how much fruit is too much. So let's set the record straight. Yes, fruit contains sugar, but here's the key. The sugar naturally found in fruit isn't the same as the added sugar in candy, soda, or processed snacks. When you eat fruit, you're also getting fiber, vitamins, antioxidants, and phytonutrients that actually improve your health. In fact, research consistently shows that people who eat more fruit tend to experience better overall health outcomes, like better weight management and lower cholesterol. Fruit isn't just not bad, it's actively good for you. So, should you limit your fruit intake because of sugar? Absolutely not. Enjoy all the fruit you want without worry. Your body knows exactly how to handle the natural sugars in fruit, and you'll benefit tremendously from all the nutrients fruits provide. So go ahead and reach for that extra apple, banana, or handful of berries. Have you ever scarfed down a huge pizza and then popped your multivitamin and thought, I'm probably good? I remember in college how much of a relief that was. Vitamins seemed like the ultimate shortcut. Why stress about eating perfectly when you can just pop a pill? Sadly, multivitamins aren't the miracle solution they're marketed to be. In fact, some supplements, like calcium for instance, could be harmful. Recent studies have linked calcium supplementation to increased risks of heart problems and kidney stones. And here's what else you're missing out on when you rely on supplements: the countless antioxidants, fiber, and disease-preventing compounds that only whole foods can deliver. A pill just can't replicate the complex nutritional benefits of real fruits, vegetables, beans, nuts, and whole grains. Now, this doesn't mean all supplements are bad. Certain nutrients like vitamin B12 and vitamin D can be beneficial and even necessary to supplement, especially if your diet or lifestyle makes it hard to get enough naturally. Shout out Norway. But for the most part, multivitamins aren't a substitute for healthy eating. So here's the best approach. Prioritize real whole foods, supplement selectively like B12 or vitamin D, and if you use an app to track what you eat like Chronometer, you can ease a lot of the anxieties you have around of not getting enough nutrients. One thing health gurus like to tell you is how bad processed foods are for you. They're all trying to kill you. But let's pause for a second. When we think of processed foods, we usually picture sugary snacks, greasy chips, or fast food burgers. But processing isn't always a bad thing. It just means that the food has been changed or prepared in some way. And many processed foods can actually be good for you. Take tofu, for example. Tofu doesn't grow on trees. It's made by processing soybeans. But this simple processing doesn't strip away nutrition. Tofu continues to have protein, calcium, and iron. Plus, because tofu comes in different forms and textures, processing actually helps you add variety and creativity to your meals. Or think about vinegar. Vinegar is another processed food created by fermenting fruits or grains. But more importantly, consuming it may improve blood sugar control and arterial function and help with weight loss. So what's the real takeaway here? Not all processed foods are created equal. Rather than avoiding everything labeled as processed, look at what's actually in the food. Foods like tofu and vinegar show us clearly processing itself isn't the problem, it's what's added or taken away. By choosing minimally processed foods that maintain their nutritional benefits, you can enjoy convenience, variety, and great health outcomes. Have you ever heard the claim that milk builds strong bones? Most of us grew up hearing this practically daily. It's like ingrained in our minds. But recent evidence suggests that this might not be as true as we think. In fact, research has come out showing that drinking milk doesn't necessarily lead to fewer fractures, and some studies even connect milk consumption to negative health outcomes, like an increased risk of prostate cancer. So, if milk isn't the bone-building powerhouse we once believed it was, what should we be consuming instead? Fortunately, there are plenty of other calcium-rich foods that do support strong bones, without the downsides. For example, tahini, which is made from sesame seeds, contains abundant calcium and healthy fats. Leafy greens like kale, arugula, and collard greens also provide calcium, along with other essential vitamins. And of course, chia seeds. They deliver calcium, omega-3s, and fiber. The bottom line here is, you don't need milk to build strong bones. By incorporating other foods into your diet, you can keep your bones strong and healthy without worrying about the potential downsides of dairy. Have you ever heard that eggs don't actually raise your cholesterol? And even if they do, it doesn't matter because high cholesterol is fine. Well, there's a reason it's been so confusing. For example, there are definitely studies that show eggs don't raise cholesterol levels. But there's a very simple reason for that, and I'll show you with this glass of water. Think of our body as this glass, and this water as cholesterol. Most of us eat a diet full of cholesterol every day, filling up our glass. But eventually, there comes a certain ceiling where more cholesterol in your diet won't really change your cholesterol levels. So many of these studies that show eggs don't raise cholesterol do that in diets that already are at their ceiling. When you take people who have very little or no cholesterol in their diet and give them eggs, their cholesterol skyrockets. And sadly, the science is clear that high cholesterol raises the risk of heart problems. So yeah, eggs do raise cholesterol, and no, high cholesterol isn't fine. Instead, you can opt for oatmeal, smoothie bowl, and tofu scramble for breakfast. All delicious options with zero cholesterol. As long as you don't use dairy milk. That has cholesterol too. Have you ever heard people say chicken and salmon are lean protein sources? It's repeated so often, most of us just accept it as fact. But is it actually true? First, let's think about what lean even means. When we say someone has a lean physique or we buy lean beef, we're talking about something low in fat. So naturally, you'd expect lean protein sources, like chicken or salmon, to be very low in fat, maybe under 10%. Think a natty fitness TikToker's dream physique. Well, here's the surprising truth. Chicken breast, often considered one of the leanest meats, can contain around 25% fat. Salmon, even higher, often around 40% fat. And here's another shocker. Most of the fat in these animal sources isn't the healthy kind you'd find in foods like avocados or nuts. It's largely saturated fat. But that can't be right. I heard that fish like salmon specifically had good fats. Well, some experts now point out that as much as 70 to 80% of the fat in fish isn't actually beneficial for us. So if chicken and fish aren't truly lean, what is? Well, that's largely going to be your plant-based sources like lentils and beans. These foods contain less than 5% fat. Now that's genuinely lean protein. They're packed with protein, fiber, and essential nutrients, and they deliver the low-fat profile you'd actually expect from something labeled lean. So next time you're looking to add lean protein to your diet, don't just assume chicken or salmon are your best bets. Consider reaching for lentils, beans, or other legumes instead. Have you ever heard someone say that plant protein is inferior to animal protein? Maybe they've told you it's incomplete, harder to absorb, or just not as effective at building muscle or maintaining health. Well, let's unpack that. Multiple studies have shown that when you consume the same amount of protein, whether from plants or animals, and get all the essential amino acids you need, there's actually no meaningful difference in how your body uses it. Protein is protein as long as you're meeting your amino acid requirements. But wait, how exactly do you make sure you're getting all the amino acids from plant foods? Is it complicated? Do you need to carefully combine foods like rice and beans at every meal? The good news is, it's not complicated at all. In fact, basically every plant food naturally contains protein, just with different amino acid profiles. If you simply eat a variety of plant foods throughout your day, beans, lentils, grains, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, you'll effortlessly get all the amino acids your body needs. You don't have to stress about perfectly pairing foods at every meal. Your body is smart enough to combine these amino acids over the course of the day. So not only is plant protein not inferior, it actually has another huge advantage. One study found that swapping just 3% of your calories from animal protein to plant protein corresponded with a 10% decrease in death from any cause. Imagine that. Just a small shift toward plant-based protein could have a huge impact on your long-term health. Now, you might be thinking, wow, okay, but how do I start incorporating more plant protein into my meals? Well, in this video, I'll show you exactly what I eat in a day to get a ton of plant protein easily.